The next topic is cloud and artificial intelligence and bombs and bullets of the 21st century. Ms. Ibtihal Aboussad will be speaking. Ms. Aboussad, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
The time is yours, please.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Ibtihal Aboussad, and I am a technologist and a labor organizer who has witnessed how global tech infrastructures have become, or honestly have been, complicit in genocide and apartheid from inside the industry. I was a software engineer at Microsoft AI for 4 years who was then fired for exposing and denouncing their complicity in the current genocide in Gaza at the hands of Israel. So in the 15 minutes that I have, I will specifically address first just how the tech industry as a whole underwrites and sustains the machinery of Israel's genocide and apartheid. And then I will briefly delve into the key mechanisms and explanations of this complicity, which are cloud infrastructure services, AI surveillance, and propaganda. And then lastly, I will affirm why the jury must see tech not as some neutral actor, but as a central, more than complicit, as a central actor in the material architecture of this genocide, and also what accountability must look like. So first, in terms of laying out the tech industry's role in this genocide, the jury should be mindful that today what has been enabling this genocide is not only the bombs and the sort of physical weapons, but also tech infrastructure, which represents this more invisible backbone that allows Israel to watch and to predict and to kill at scale. And right now, the genocide in Gaza is the most digitized and tech-reliant campaign of mass violence and ethnic cleansing in modern history. Because every airstrike by Israel and every displacement order in Gaza and every assassination of a journalist or a doctor, they all get guided by data to some extent. And so we have location tracking, we have biometric profiling, we have machine learning models that have all enabled Israel, and this is in the words of actual Israeli soldiers, they've enabled them to reach the scale of the genocide that we've seen today, and they've been essential in identifying targets and ranking civilians as targets. And so behind these systems are some of the largest tech corporations in the world. So whether they're cloud providers, whether they're surveillance firms, whether they provide networking and semiconductors, and even data analytics companies. So all these different companies across the world have been supplying the computational capacity and the tools and the engineering talent and support engineers that make this algorithmic genocide possible. And I want to affirm to the jury that none of these complicity facts are speculative, because we have investigations from several outlets like The Guardian, Al Jazeera, Plus 972 magazine, and even from independent technologists who have all documented the integration of commercial AI tools and cloud services into Israel's military apparatus. And this has been possible through billion-dollar contracts like Project Nimbus with Google and Amazon, and through corporate partnerships such as the one with Microsoft and OpenAI that provide AI infrastructure to the Israeli Defense Forces. And most recently, in her recent report, Francesca Albanese also built on this evidence and these investigations to describe how some of these private technology companies form part of what she calls an economy of genocide. And this report honestly just confirms what many technologists and what many Palestinian rights advocates have been warning us about for years from before the genocide, which is that tech has militarized itself and prioritized profit over people in maintaining the system of apartheid in Palestine. And so now we will just delve into a quick explanation of how these tech contracts do accelerate and power Israel's genocide in Gaza. So when we talk about the cloud infrastructure, the cloud is essentially the main piece here and the oxygen of modern genocide mechanisms, because it provides the servers and the data storage that allow for all the surveillance and all of the targeting by Israel. And so when these companies sell cloud capacity to like a military like the IDF, they're not just hosting its data. They're providing the compute power for genocide, because it is impossible for human soldiers to process such massive troves of data to be able to annihilate entire families and neighborhoods within seconds. And in Gaza, this infrastructure underpins Israel's automated targeting systems, such as Lavender, such as Where's Daddy, which was mentioned in the talk right before, which rely on machine learning models to essentially decide who lives and who dies, and to maximize human deaths without any necessary human supervision. And so these systems that are built in artificial intelligence, they've added nearly 40,000 residents to kill lists, again, with no or minimal human oversight, and only within the span of the first year of this genocide, nearly 40,000. And so, again, this automation would quite literally not be possible without these cloud storage capacity that are provided by Western tech giants. And so I ask that the jury recognize that these infrastructure, which is often marketed as neutral innovation, is now directly and willingly implicated in mass targeting and mass deaths. And the second mechanism here is surveillance. And so the Israeli state has long treated Palestinian populations as a testing ground for many control technologies, from facial recognition to drones to automated checkpoints. And so what we have now is companies like Palantir that supply software to militaries and to police departments around the world are included Israel in providing these abilities for data analysis and target selection. We have Intel and NVIDIA, which provide the processors that power all these AI systems, like the hardware. We have Cisco, we have Elbit Systems, many others that build the networking and sensor technologies that feed into these systems. And as mentioned before, Microsoft and OpenAI provide some AI models, but the most dangerous ones right now are speech-to-text models that allow Israel to spy on Palestinians' phone calls and synthesize them to generate target lists and maximize civilian damage. And so all these AI tools that are being refined on Palestinians against their will, they later get marketed globally as battle tested, and they get exported to regimes and police forces around the world and essentially extend the cycle of oppression. And the third and final mechanism of tech complicity is propaganda, which is the digital warfare of narrative, of censorship of Palestinian voices, and of misinformation. And so we've been seeing that as Gaza burns, algorithms on these social media platforms continue to bury the truth of its burning. And so we have companies like Meta, Google, TikTok, and X, which have repeatedly been censoring Gazan voices and Palestinian voices under the guise of safety and under the guise of community standards. And they've removed accounts of journalists, of aid workers, of survivors at the height of the genocide. And meanwhile, these same platforms have amplified Israeli military propaganda, which is Hasbara, and spread and verified claims and AI-generated fabrications that are being used to justify mass killing and manufacture consent for genocide. And I would like to emphasize that this is not accidental. It's from direct, intentional algorithmic bias, because Western political pressure and long-standing partnerships between these tech firms and state agencies, and their counterterrorism frameworks are at play here as well. And even like Meta's oversight board, like itself, found that its systems disproportionately suppress content that is in Arabic, for example, while allowing anti-Palestinian hate to circulate a lot more freely. And so we are seeing a digital mirror of the same apartheid that is on the ground in Palestine for nearly 8 decades now. And where one people's humanity and stories amplified while the other is erased with algorithms. And so I would like to plead for the jury to recognize that these tech companies' role in spreading Israeli propaganda is not just peripheral, and that it is also, despite not being physical, it is also an active weapon that sustains the moral immunity of those who profit from genocide, and that suppresses the voices of truth and reporting in Gaza. And in terms of efforts that have been done to resist this complicity, the jury should also be aware that this system persists not because people inside the tech are unaware, but because people that speak out are silenced, like myself and 10 other Microsoft employees, and just this year who have been fired for just denouncing its complicity in genocide and apartheid. So workers across many tech companies have tried to expose and oppose these ties and face the same retaliation and censorship. And publicly, these companies, they present our firings as policy enforcements, but in reality, these are just warnings that dissent against Zionism and against complicity in genocide will cost you your career in tech. And so this internal repression, in a way, mirrors the external repression that we mentioned, because the industry enforces silence from within so that it can sustain that propaganda-led violence from outside. And so I ask the jury to recognize that genocide today, again, is not only physical, but it is also digital. And so therefore, accountability must also be digital. So I ask that the jury should recommend, first of all, corporate disengagement from all Israeli military, Israeli surveillance, and government contracts. And secondly, public disclosure from all tech corporations of all their cloud, AI, and data services that are provided to any branch of the Israeli state. And then lastly, that we demand legal accountability for technology executives that have knowingly facilitated genocide and apartheid, and their international doctrines of corporate complicity. And so to conclude, the jury should consider that every genocide begins with dehumanization, and the tech industry right now has automated this dehumanization process, because the same systems that classify Palestinian civilians as targets or threats are built by technologists who go home believe that they're creating solutions, and this dissonance is the big moral disease of our time. And so if technology is to have any redemptive purpose, then it has to begin with truth first and foremost. And the truth that I would like to convey today, again, in the words of Israeli soldiers, is that the scale of the genocide in Gaza is only possible because of tech weapons provided by these corporations. I thank the jury for your time and for just bearing witness with conscience today. Thank you.